Hello and welcome. This is Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing, and we have a wonderful guest today that is going to join us. Jackie Lapin is actually working with us as far as how to bring um, the continuity to getting our messages out to the world. For Spotlight Publishing, one of the biggest things that as we work with our authors, is that when we introduce you to people like Jackie, that you really understand that there are so many wonderful things that are available to us to help us to get our message out to the world. And Jackie, I've known her for quite a while, and I'm so blessed to know her and to know what she has done to really make a difference in our world. She's a leader that helps leaders, and that's what is very important. And we've had a lot of conversations available about really how do we get the value of having published the work that we have to the world, but we also want to make sure that we get booked and get shine in the areas that all of us need to do to get our message out to the world in the most important ways. Jackie has brought so many authors, coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs to the next level just because of what she has been able to bring to the world. So, Jackie, I'm delighted to have you in this conversation. I'd like to should have the conversation of how it is that you help people to get booked, really, really touch the world in the most important ways. And you have quite a vast ways that we have the tools to get your not only more of a exposure to the book that you have brought to the world, but also to be able to serve in the ways that can really make a difference. So let's talk about that, and really happy to have you here with us today.
I'm delighted to be here, Becky. You know, I'm actually one of you, so to speak. I'm a best-selling author myself. I have two books. One, The Art of Conscious Creation, How You Could Transform the World. And the second one, Practical Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires. And that was the best spiritual book of the year at the International New Age Trade Show. Now, those two books were my education, which helped me. I mean, I've been a publicist for 40 years. Hard to say those words. But what it became clear to me when I did the marketing for my own book was that authors needed easier ways to get the word out. And so about 12 years ago, after I finished those two books, and I realized that people were there was a media that were hungry for this kinds of content and that wasn't being served. I started doing radio podcast tours where I was introducing authors and leaders, which we still do today, to 9,000 radio shows and podcasts with a minimum guarantee of 30 interviews. And back in those days, it was just radio shows and internet radio. And of course, now podcasts and satellite have also joined the fray. And so, we've aggregated all of those shows, especially the ones that care about anything related to if one improves one's life, one's business, or the planet. So we make it really, really easy by doing one of three different radio tours, depending on how much, time you have to commit, what your budget is, all of that. And so those are our signature programs. And again, we've been doing them for 12 years. And we do them for Don Miguel Ruiz and Ariel Ford and James Twyman and Joe Vitale and Chris and Janet Atwood and Maureen St. Germain. Lots of luminaries. If you go on Conscious Media Relations, which is the website that's committed to these products, you'll see 75 rave reviews. So, we've done this a long time. We know how to make it work, and our lists are always growing. We're continuing to grow that, and we not only do we have a master list of media that are love that kind of content, but we also have specialty lists, relationships and business and health and wellness, and all the subspecialties. Now, that's one way that we continue to serve. And we are doing 25 of them already this year. So it tells you that we really
Wow.
know. I have a full-time scheduler who basically books those once. But the real key to it is that I read your book and I write your pitch letter. And it's not one of those things where it's not formula. I say that I capture your soul, your mission, and your message and your book all in a page and a half, and that's kind of a superpower. So and that's how that works. So that I'm really excited about that. Now, about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, some people kept coming to me and say, well, can you book me for speaking engagements? Can you book me for speaking engagements? And I said, I don't want to do that, but I know where they are. So let me tell you where they are. And that's how our other brand, Speakertunity, was born. And Speakertunity, which marries the word speaker and opportunity, is perfect for authors, because what we do is go out and do all the research for the contacts. So you don't have to do that. So we have gone out and connected and found out, this is the person who is the person responsible for this podcast, this speaking engagement, etc. And we have directories now that cover live and virtual speaking, radio shows, podcasts, and video casts, uh, virtual summits, and product giveaways that are looking for collaborators, virtual networking, TEDx's, and some of the things that we're really excited about is Speakertunity regional speaker lead directories, where we'll give you up to 2,000 speaker leads just in your own market. And that
Wow.
falls into 4 categories: business, which is subdivided into 55 industries, ethnicities, and genders. So you just want women's business meetings, or entrepreneurs, or real estate people, or healthcare professionals, or construction people. We've got that. Then the next category is service groups. So your Seroptimists and your Rotaries and your Kiwanis, and in Canada, your kin clubs. And then the next category is all the places you touch the consumer: moms groups, parenting, seniors, health and wellness support groups, military, LGBT, other special interest groups, bookstores, libraries, and hospitals. So as an author, we've identified all the independent bookstores in your neighborhood. You can do your own book tour. And then the next category is spiritual. So Unity, Centers for Spiritual Living, and faith-based groups. We marry that all into one directory so that you have everything at your fingertips. And if you need some over here and some over here and some over here and some over here, you can do that. Now, what's coming in July, which I'm really excited about, is Speakertunity Specialties. And with specialties, you can simply get a directory for your own niche. Let's say that you just want women's business meetings all across the US and Canada. We can give you that, or in one of 5 major areas: East, West, Midwest, South, or Canada. And then you could just concentrate in that area. And we've got coaches and individual professions and different kinds of specialty and service groups. So it makes it really easy for you to zero in right on what you want. Now, the good news is you can speak virtually anywhere now. And so
That's
the
amazing
specialties
times. Yeah.
gives you that, that's why we really moved into that area. With Speakertunity Cities, the regional speaker lead directories, it's going to be live or virtual, but it's a drivable distance for you. If it does come back to live, but you still got the ones that are staying virtual. Lots of things are staying virtual. And with specialties, you can speak anywhere as long as they are virtual. And these are all meetings, venues, and associations, the kinds of places that have recurring evergreen speaking opportunities. So they're always looking for people. So
That is pretty amazing, because really, truly, if we have just the things that you have covered, and I'm getting feedback. Is it on your side too?
No, I hear you.
I kind of hear this, me speaking in different twice. But what I find fascinating about what you've done, I'm sure there's a great amount of work that you have done just to make this happen. And to be able to effectively reach out to, you have the ability to, with the way you've set this up, is for those that take advantage of what you provide in the different categories, that they can have a huge range of being able to really get their message out to the world. The nonprofits alone would be just amazing, because they're always looking for somewhere to speak. So for an author, especially because that's where my major focus is, how do they really know how to flourish in this kind of environment, and who to pick and the way to serve?
Well, so one of the nice things is that, you're not obligated to take all of this at the same time. So,
Right.
authors, one of the best ways to get started is for podcasts. And we have two products, Speakertunity Radio Insider, which gives you radio shows, podcasts, and video casts that are 40 different ones every month that are looking for guest speakers in the life enhancing space. Or we have one that's Speakertunity Radio Insider for Business that gives you 40 B2B. If you don't need to reach that audience. So let's assume that you were subscribed to those, but you don't exactly know how to pitch them. So what we've developed are training programs so that you're not operating in space somewhere. We have one training program that's called Rocket Your Radio and Podcast Booking, and then one for the speaker side that's the art of filling your speaking calendar. So in it, we tell you how to write the pitch letter. What are the elements you have together, what you have to say when you get somebody on the phone, how many follow-up calls do you make, where do you follow up with them. All of these things are very clear. And in the speaker one, we also tell you how to gather all the materials for your speaker one sheet, which is another really important tool. And that's the other thing that we've created. We not only will give you the directories and the training programs, but we're giving you tools that are going to make it really, really easy. So, for example, when you want to pitch yourself for a speaking engagement, you really want to have a beautiful, professionally designed speaker one sheet. So we have a service that'll design it. All you do is you pick from a template, you pick colors, and then you submit the specific information we request in the form. There's no trying to figure out, well, what do I put in this thing? We tell you what to put in it. We tell you what format to give it to us in. When you give that to us, we can turn it back to you in days. And we've done the same thing with what's called a podcast introductory sheet. Now, in today's world, when it comes to radio shows and podcasts, there are two ways to pitch them. One, with a very comprehensive pitch letter that really defines what the interview is going to be about, which is what we use when we're doing our radio podcast. Or sometimes now the trendy thing are these podcast introductory sheet, which is just a one-page sheet with a beautiful bio that speaks to your book and what you've done bringing to the world, and it should have a picture of you and your book there, and a couple of testimonials, and then the topics that you want to address. What are the topics that you touch on in your book that you want to address in the interview? So you can either send one or the other, or you can marry them together and add the podcast sheet when you send the pitch letter. So either of those are options. So
they both sound incredibly powerful, and I think that's one of the things that set you apart on how what you bring to the world, because this is one of the most difficult. How do I do all of this type of thing for so many of us, and the awesome authors that I get to serve, which it's a wide variety of different types of authors that I get to serve, and we do really give a lot of thought and creation as far as how do you write a really good introduction to what you do, and how do you get yourself booked. And there's a million different ways that people are doing. I mean, there's different platforms that you can submit yourself to get interviewed on. There's just a lot of different things, but what I discover is that it's all over the place, and it's so hard. And what you've done is be able to bring this all together into something that is more manageable, and people really get a good grasp of what's available to them. So that's what the beauty of the advantage of what you're doing.
Thank you. Well, and one of the things is none of this works if you don't commit the time.
Yes.
And so I am a firm believer, and I strongly recommend that you actually mark out on your calendar 3 hours a week just to do this work. And if you do that, you make a constant appointment. It's a standing appointment with yourself, as if you had a client meeting. And every week you dedicate that 3 hours to pitching yourself. You're going to have lots and lots of opportunities. You just have to, one, have your materials ready, and then identify the speaker lead, the leads that you want to pitch, and then just start sending and doing the follow-up phone calls or texts, or just instant messaging and all of those kinds of things. So that's really an important commitment.
What got you started on all of this? Has you, I know it's how many years has it been since we first met? And I knew we even, I think even visited when at your office early on in this my own stages of building my business. But looking at what we've both done has been pretty amazing. But how did you really grasp how to pull all these things together to make it such a difference? And I know it's still a work in progress because I've seen a lot of I know you have a lot of different things coming available right now.
Yeah, actually, we're literally building a product a month. So
Wow.
if you want to know what's coming, go to the bottom of speakertunity.com, put your name in there, and we'll keep you posted. So I think you have to kind of go back to realize that I am by nature a serial pioneer. And I started out at the age of 11 telling my parents I was going to be a sports writer. And so at 11, I committed myself to that. And at 20, I was at the Detroit Free Press. 21, I was at the Associated Press and the front pages of the LA Times and co-hosting Dodger Dugout and Channel 11 here in Los Angeles. And at 22, I was at the Washington Post. So I've
Wow.
driven pretty much all my life by this voice in my head that says, okay, you don't have to follow the path that everybody else does. Listen to what we're guiding you to. And so I say that the universe provides breadcrumbs, and I just follow those breadcrumbs. And so from there, I went on to have one of the largest sports special events and cable TV PR agencies in America with a world-class client list for about 20 years. Toyota Motorsports and Avon and Seagram and the National Hockey League and Golf Channel, and I can go on and on and on. The last thing I did was launch the worldwide poker phenomenon.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, I have that. And it was a lot of fun. And so all of those kinds of things, what I learned about being an entrepreneur basically has stood me in good stead. And so at the end of that period, that's when I wrote the 2 books and realized that my heart lay with the people who were making the world a better place, who were telling their stories. Authors who were doing something meaningful in the world. And that's when I rebranded the company as Conscious Media Relations and really focused on that. And then with Speakertunity, it's sort of a breadcrumb thing. We created our first product with Speakertunity Speaker Leads, which gives you about 120 leads a month for speaking engagements, virtual and live, all over North America. And that's meetings, conferences, TEDx's, spiritual centers, bookstores, and retreat centers, and a variety of others. It's really for a transformational leader. And that product has been now going on almost 6 years. And at any given time, we have almost 400 people on our subscription services. But some people said, this doesn't work for me because I want more leads close to home, or I want more business-driven leads. Well, we're listening to what the message is. And the message was create something for us. And so that's when we created Speakertunity Cities, and we started working on that a couple of years ago. But things become apparent. Like once we started Speakertunity Speaker Leads, well, then we had all this data for the radio shows and podcasts that we were pitching ourselves. So I said, let's raid that list and share that with our subscribers. And we created Speakertunity Radio Insider. And then it became evident that there were all these virtual summits that were coming along, and nobody was identifying them. And so we decided to aggregate them. And then obviously the next thing was some of those people many of those summits, some of those summits have minimum guest list size. So people still needed to build their lists in order to qualify for more summits. So why don't we give them giveaways where they can build their lists? So all of that, just basically happened organically. And in fact, tomorrow I get to spend the entire morning putting together the next Speakertunity summits that's coming out on July 1 and to share with our subscribers. And so, each program becomes in response to the market. For example, excuse me, one of the things that's become really evident since the pandemic is that virtual networking has become a big thing.
Oh, humongous. That is just, and you know what? I think it makes such a difference for most of us, the virtual part of being able to network this way. For myself, because of how my business has grown, to go to just local networking usually means hours away from my office and my desk, and you think, oh my God, to keep up with this, how do I do this? To really serve in the right way. What's fascinating is the online stuff has really made a difference as far as I don't have to no longer travel across the city to attend something and it take over half of my day. I can meet virtually and really make just as much or better of a difference that way, and reach a much more diverse following and context. It's just incredible.
And you're not limited by geography any longer.
No, you can just widespread, the ability to connect with people. Some amazing groups out there.
So if you're prospecting for clients or you're trying to sell a book, it's a great way to do it. So we looked at this and said, oh my God, there are tons of them. Why don't we just assemble them in one place? So Speakertunity recurring virtual networking update basically brought together 200 virtual networking opportunities that are recurring, no cost or low cost, 50 of which are just for women. And so we have them all in one place. And so now our subscribers, they get a chance to stay up as I give them the new editions periodically. So for $99, just, one time, you get to stay up with all the ones that we're adding in. And the other product that's really low cost and works for a lot of people is our TEDx directory. So let's say you want to get on a TEDx and you don't want to have to wander around that massive website to try to figure out what's close to you, what's, which ones are 6 months out. So you get, we put it all in a spreadsheet and we do it by date. Then we give you pages that are by state or province for the Canadian folks, or they're live or virtual, all in one place. So you can say, oh, well, I live in California, so here's the ones in California, here's the ones in Nevada, here's the ones in Arizona. Those ones I want to try to get to. And then you can go and look more closely at them, figure out if they have a theme, apply however you want to apply. But we've saved you the time to figure out what's around. So like that's another $99. So we just try to keep our stuff inexpensive. In fact, our 3 original subscription services are only $35 a month. I mean, we're not to break the bank.
Well, and that's the beauty of what you're doing, is that your prices are reasonable to obtain all of this. And oh my goodness, the time it saves, just truly being able for people to tap into something that will really skyrocket what they're doing. So what about those that are really establishing? With COVID, there's been so many that have left corporate America that are really, really finding their roots in working as an entrepreneur or business leader. And yet sometimes maybe they're facing, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can speak in front of a group. How do I get the training that I need? Do you cover anything like that with, helping people really gain that voice and getting the roots in the right way? Because many of them can write, but they're still a little bit fearful of the speaking part of it.
Well, and you know what? We choose not to teach the speaking skills or the content development. presentation, simply because we work with over 100 amazing speaker trainers. And we would much rather refer people to those people that are experts in that area and who are so graciously partners of ours because they tell their communities about us. So we think it's in our best interest to really give people off to the experts. So we, in fact, tell people, if you have any questions and you need this, I'll give you a list of speaker trainers either in your area, in your specialty, that I think would be a good match for you.
That's perfect. And I understand that we cannot be all things to all people. And there are some amazing people out there that really do a fabulous job in really helping us really put forth the expression of who we are and really have gain the voice. So when we kind of circle back around to this, we need a really good bio.
Yes.
And we need our speaker, our author one sheet, to really get that out there. What are the key points that you offer up? I know you create these, but what are the key points that they need to know when they're submitting their information for a really good speaker one sheet?
So if you're looking to what goes into a speaker one sheet, the first thing you have to establish is, what are you doing to change the life of that audience? What is going to heal them, improve their finances, improve their mindset, make their lives better, improve their business? That is the most important message you need to convey in this. And the people that simply focus on your own credentials or how great your program is, you're going to miss the boat. The speaker the speaker booker needs to know what is the outcome for the audience. So your headline and your bio needs to be written in that format. And once you cover that, then you can go into more about your credentials and the background and all the things. Now, the next thing that you want are great photos. And if you have stage photos of yourself that are good, you want to definitely use that. And since it's a 2-page document, you can also put one photo on the front and one photo on the back. And in a great headshot. And then you also want to have testimonials. Now, the key to these testimonials are not your client, not people that have heard you in the audience. Those will stand if you don't have the most important kind of testimonial, which is testimonials from people who have booked you previously. Bookers want to know that somebody else has had a great experience with you. So that's your priority for your 2 testimonials, or if you have 3, that's great. But you can use the other ones in the interim. The next thing is the backside needs to have your presentations, and the format for your presentation should be the following: a snappy title to get people's attention that points to the benefit, then a paragraph description of what this presentation is, and then 3 to 5 bullet point takeaways. What is the audience going to learn? The audience is going to learn this, or they're going to discover this, or when they leave, they will know this, or whatever that is. And then you want to illuminate what those 3 to 5 bullet points are. So you want to have one of those for each of 3 presentations, because if you have only one arrow in your quiver, it has got to be a bullseye.
It does.
Most people will say, that's not really right for our audience, but that one is perfect. So you really need to have more than one presentation, even if it's the same presentation repurposed for a different audience, rewritten, but the content is pretty much the same. Or 3 completely different ones, or 2 different skill levels, or one is a workshop, one is a lunch and learn, one is a keynote, whatever it might be, you want to have 3. So that's pretty much what goes into it.
That's pretty fascinating, because then it gives such a diversity, and then anybody that's going to book you they will know who the target is who you're trying to reach, and that's really a key. I want to take a brief break so you can get something to drink, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to our discussion and our expert, Jackie Lapin from Speakertunity. The conversation has been pretty fascinating to really understand the full scope. And for those that are listening from whether it's from or going to listen to this through E360 Fresh Takes, E360 TV on Fresh Takes, or on social media or YouTube, notice that there is a way to reach out to Jackie through speakertunity.com. There are other ways. Is there any other way you want them to reach out to you, Jackie?
Well, I also want to encourage them to take a peek at consciousmediarelations.com if they're interested in having us do the radio podcast tour for them. Okay. And there are 2 or 3 different levels depending on how much of the role you want to take on yourself. But the nice part about that is that you can do as little or as much of it as you want, or just have us do it all. So that was
Conscious Media.
consciousmediarelations.com.
Okay.
And the good part about that is that we've been doing it an awfully long time. So feel free, if you think you might have a book that is right for that, just set up a meeting with me, and I would love to connect with you and see if this is in fact right for you, and I'll give you some more information on the actual options that are available to you. It is the only area that we currently right now do done for you services. But all I'm going to say is on the speaker side, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yes, that's awesome. So how do you make sure when you're using the systems that you and I have already talked about, how do we make sure that we're selling ourselves in the right way?
Well, part of it has to do what audience are you talking to? Because you're going to sell yourself a little differently to different audiences. But if you have one consistent audience, it makes it easy. If your message is the same for everybody, if you're only talking to people who have a health-related issue and your book is about how to overcome that, well, then it's pretty easy to say, okay, I've been in your shoes, and this is what I've learned, and I want to share this with you. And by the way, my book will help get you there faster. But if you're offering a business solution, for example, and you can talk to women's groups, or you can talk to entrepreneur groups, or you can talk to other different kinds of specialty groups, well, then you're gonna, the core message will be the same, but the presentation might be slightly different. But basically your core message is, and in most cases, the people who are teaching something have come through an experience, overcome something that have put them in this position. So the audience always wants to hear your experience.
Absolutely.
An authentic story about how you got to this place. And then you can show your victory and some of the ways that you resolve this, and then give them more. So the real key to it is whenever you're speaking, whether that's live and virtual speaking engagements, whether it's podcasts, radio shows, virtual virtual summits, the real key is that you're going to be giving them valued content. You need to be able to not just say, here's my book, here's what I learned, but here's what I want you to know that's going to help you move forward, and here is my book that's going to give you all of the rest, or here is my book and my program that you can enroll in that's going to take you to the next level. And I want to make a point about that too. I mean, a lot of let me tell you how to overcome a lot of the resistance to being on stage. The first thing is that, they say that speaking in front of audiences is the number one biggest fear. If you are standing on that stage thinking, oh my God, what are they thinking of me? Am I saying this right? Do they like me? Is my hair good? Etc. Get over yourself. Audience doesn't really give a damn about you. All they want to know is, does she or he have solutions for me? Is this going to change my life? Now, if you get onto that stage from the attitude is, I'm here to serve, They need what I have. Let me share what I know so I can make their life better. If you stand on that stage from that position, and knowing that if you don't give this to them, they're going to suffer, then your butterflies will go away in a minute.
It will. And, that's fascinating to me because I think that, I work with so many authors and also I work with so many authors who are um, really bringing the insight to the world in a unique way. But the conversations we have around this is we can't lose the art of storytelling. So when you combine that a little bit of the story into it, you combine the power of storytelling and then to show the outcome. And most of the authors that I work with, it's fascinating because it's usually the dark things that happened in their life, those things that just totally turned their lives upside down, that brought them to be the expert that they are today. And when they understand the power of story, they understand the relatability that comes from sharing those stories, and then have developed from that the ability to teach some of the best things that they could possibly bring to the world. That's where the connectivity is.
Well, and I'm going to give you also a tool that I think is really, really valuable. Now, when you are trying to create your pitch letter to explain to a booker why you are relevant to his or her audience, those are really key issues that you want to put in your pitch letter. Why are you relevant? So I've created a sheet that is going to enable you to figure out exactly what makes you relevant to that audience. And one of them is what I call is your story, my story. Is your story their story? In other words, are you a perfect match from this audience because you've suffered sexual abuse in this audience of people who suffered sexual abuse? There are different kinds of things that are going to make you relevant that you want to mention in that pitch letter. So if you go to this URL, this will give you that strategy document. It's called relevantstrategysheet.com. That's relevantstrategysheet.com. And so please feel free to download that. It's going to be a real help to you when you are actually building your pitch letter.
Awesome. Well, it's fun to see the tool sets that you've brought that everybody can use, because oftentimes we don't really grasp the fullness and the richness of being able to really hone in on the target market so that we're not wasting our time. We're really putting forth a tremendous amount of time and effort to reach just the people that need to hear our message. And what you have provided makes that possible.
Thank you. Let me also give another, what I consider a valuable resource. A lot of times you're not necessarily allowed to sell, and let me go back. I want to talk about selling and then I'll come to this. Most people are resistant because they think it's a sale that they're doing from the stage. It's not. It's an invitation. And if you remember that it's an invitation, an opportunity to take somebody to the next level, and you speak from that standpoint, people are going to want to join you. If you are thinking, oh my God, I have to sell, that's not where it is. It's, I want to really support people, and I've got something that is going to help you to the next level. Would you like that? Can I tell you about it? Ask permission is a great opportunity. So when you do that, that's going to give them to the next level. But one of the things that happens is, in some cases, you can introduce your book. But if you have a paid program, this particular engagement won't let you actually do that. You can't make that invitation an offer from the stage, but they will let you give something away free. And the benefit of getting something away free is that if you make people sign in for it, they're now in your opt-in list, and you can build that relationship. You can start making offers to them. You can have a conversation with them. So here's another fun tool. if you think that a free ebook or just a consultation, a free consultation with somebody is the only way to get somebody into your into your opt-in list as a lead magnet generator, you are way behind the time.
There's so much available to us.
There are 44 different ways that you can induce people into your list. And it's called 44 Ways to Seduce Your Next Client from Stage, Podcasts, Radio Sales, Virtual Summits, and Virtual Networking. And if you go to this URL, you'll be able to get that too. And it's speakertunity.com/seduce.
I love that. I'll put that in the chat as well. And that's the thing, is that there are the list building when you publish a book or preparing to publish a book. One of the key things that is important is to build the list, because without building the list, and with most of the publishing, if you're going through Amazon, Ingram, Spark, most of the publishing houses you don't know who's buying your book and who's reading. However, there are other ways to do this. And one of the things that I work with all of my authors is, what can you create for them as a download? It can be a video series, it can be a 10 steps to doing this, and if it clicked right in through a QR code right in the pages of their book. There's a few I work with Vervante, where they do send you a list of who's buying your books, but they also charge extra for it. So it depends on really what you truly want to do. But being able to build the list, and you can do so much even early before you actually publish your book, is make sure that you're using everything that's available. And this one, the Seduce, is a good link. I'll put it in. I'll stop talking for a minute so I can put it in.
That's a favorite.
Right.
That's probably our most popular.
Okay, so that's Speakertunity. Let me get it down on here. So keep on talking. Let's talk about being able to take advantage of all of the tools and resources that you have. What is there one that has been way more powerful for those that have been in your programs that you would recommend maybe over another?
Well, I think that our Speakertunity Radio Insider, which gives you radio shows, podcasts, and video casts. Keep in mind, podcasts about 40 to 60% have gone to video, just kind of like this. So I think that has been the mainstay that people have loved throughout the years. It's the greatest, easiest way for authors to get in. And then I think our Speakertunity Speaker Leads, our other $35 a month product, has been a big following for the transformational leader. That's really for them. But I think those two are probably the ones that get the most attention and apply to the most people. And now that with our Radio Insider for Business, well, for those people that really weren't getting the benefit out of the first one, we've really taken care of that and opened the door for those folks. So we really go out and try to find. And here's something that's really important that everybody should know about the Speakertunity products. You know, just because a lot of things will change from the point when we set up. We edit everything, do a complete revamp once a year. But in the interim, things change. And so our policy is, if you find anything out of date, whether it's 1 to 150, just tell us what they are and we will get you the newest information. We consider what we have with you as a relationship. It is not, here's your list, go buy. You've got your directory, disappear on us. No, our role is to make sure that you get value. And so that's one of the reasons why we will update anything that you find out of date on any of our directories.
Well, that's pretty amazing, because I know that must be a tremendous amount of follow-up to do on your part to make sure that because everything changes every day. It's not something that is and even being informed that there needs to be some changes can sometimes be disconcerting, because there's just so much, for everyone. Change is part of the thing.
I agree. I actually have a team of 10. It ain't the only one that I do personally these days is summits. The rest of them I leave to my team.
So we had recently had a summit that both of us partook in, and that was the Week of Kindness through the Standout Stars. And um, tell me what your experience was in that particular summit, and then in retrospect, what your summit platform, what it offers.
So this summit was actually in there, and I had a fabulous interview with you. That was wonderful. And then, I just watch those because I'm notified when people sign in, and I think it was 44 ways that we did, if I recall. And people just signed on, and every day that there's more and more and more people coming in, and so I love that because I know that when we do our next product launch, more people are going to know about what we do, and I'm excited. And there's two ways to do that. You can either have an introductory sequence when people come right in, and so they start getting information about your resources, or in our case, once we get them into the database as a whole, they just get introduced to our next product. And so that's the way that it works. So um, with with Speakertunity summits, what we put for every summit is the name of the summit, the date it goes live, the person who is responsible, and what their contact information is, or there is a submission link where you would submit yourself. Then a description, a one paragraph description of what is the summit about. And then a link to the website if there is one available. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. And then here's the really important one. What are the requirements?
Mhm.
So if you are considering applying for this summit, but you're not willing to send 3 solos and 3 social media, well, it's not for you. Or if there's a minimum list size, so it tells you exactly. But on the other hand, for the summit organizer, and yes, please, if you have summits and would like to submit them, please go to speakertunity.com/submissions or email me and give me exactly the information I just told you in that order. And we would love to put up your summits and introduce you to people who are looking to be on your summit. This is a service that's kind of considered a summit matching service. So anyway, so we put all that information, we put it by date, so you can see what's upcoming for the next several months, and you can book yourself way out. Or, well, geez, one just popped in for next month and they've got 3 seats less. Grab that. But it gives you an idea to choose. Okay, well, this one's on parenting, that's not for me. This one's on health and wellness, that's for me. Or this one's on spirituality, or this one's on mindset, or this one's on money management.
Any number of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it lets you pick and choose and see what's out there and pop on them right away.
Well, I found that this event was pretty incredibly awesome, in the sense that I know my emails have been going like, wow, look at all these that people have registered, but that's a fabulous way to build a list of following. And really, if you take advantage of those, some of the summits are actually a fabulous way to gain exposure. Well, all of the summits are, but there's some that are probably, there's so many actually that are available to us that it's pretty incredible. I think
and a giveaway is just a summit without an interview.
Yeah.
And that's why we bring those to the fore as well.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And I know that I had a freebie in the last one, a regular, just actually 2 freebies is what I gave away, and then an opportunity for something else for them to join in on. And I've had fabulous response. In fact, last night, they're still coming in this morning. It's so cool. But last night I had somebody say, wow, thank you for your presentation. That was excellent. Gave me a whole different way of looking at life. And when you're making a difference for people, when you know that there's something that maybe they heard a different viewpoint for first time in ever, and what they're doing, bringing to the world themselves, and that it's serving them, it's very gratifying, and you know that you are making a difference.
Well, and it serves both people. It's a win-win. They're getting something of value. You're getting a new prospective client. One of my favorite giveaways, and I'll offer it here if people are interested, is a month free in each of our three legacy Speakertunity products: Speakertunity Radio Insider, and Speakertunity Summits. And you get to try it and see it what it's like. So just go to speakertunity.com/free hyphen trials. And it makes it really, really easy to say, is this right for me? Is it not right for me? And you can opt out, just before the 30 days when the payment kicks in. But it gives you an opportunity to say, these are the right kinds of leads for me, or no, I like that product, but I don't like this one.
Right.
But I really firmly believe that the more you give, the more generous you are, the more people will be willing to play in the game with you.
Absolutely. So what was that website? It was
speakertunity.com/free
free.
trials.
All right, I got that too. Awesome. So it's going to scroll across if I get there. Nope, didn't happen. Gotta hide that one and bring the next one.
There we go.
There we go. Awesome. So, Jackie, I so appreciate that you've taken this time to really showcase what you're bringing to the world. And I'm really happy you listened to that intuitive spirit that you have inside of you, because that's what it's all about. I know how many times that I'll be sound asleep at night and wake up with this brilliant thing that just came across, and it's like it's clear as day. It's just what I'm supposed to be, what my next step and what I bring to the world myself. So I really have enjoyed this conversation. So to those that are listening out there, or will be listening to this broadcast, what is your, this is a recap on why I'm doing what I'm doing and how to reach out to you.
Well, the first thing is, don't hide your light under a bushel, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be visible. If you want people to experience your mission, your message, your book, you have to be in front of them. That's life-changing for them, and it's life-changing for you. So
Yes.
be visible. And if we can be of service in helping you do that, well, that is my joy in the world. That is my blessing, to be able to make your path easier and your life more vibrant and more shining your light in a bigger way. And I just want to say, I love Becky and I love what she does. She's just about the best in the business, and I honor the work that she does in the world. So, if you're looking to get published, this is a woman that will treat you well.
Thank you. It's been my honor to really see how both of our lives have really developed since we first met, and just being able to showcase those that are experts like yourself has been fabulous for me. When I work with my authors, it's one of the biggest privileges that I've had, because so many are bringing such wisdom to the world. And I think about the last couple of launches that I've had, all of them are fabulous. But there's one that's coming up that I'm incredibly excited about, and it's called Cracking the Learning Code. And this is written, it's an amazing book, but they're saying that how we access the memory, there's a special way to learn something and access it to long-term memory where you will never forget. And it's written by a scientist. He's got, the first book is actually almost 700 pages, because it's kind of a compendium with explaining the science behind it. But going forward, he has 20 books that are following, that are all small, with small but shorter books, with with courses behind it. One for the homeschool market, one for marketing, one for overcoming addictions, one, just every aspect of what you could imagine. But what I'm thinking about is he's done all the right things all the way along to get the exposure. But I think this would be an amazing connection for him to be able to take advantage. But I'd love to introduce the two of you because I think he's missing out on a few of the opportunities, and yet he's also brilliant in the opportunities he has taken care of. He has taken advantage of. So we're having a mid-June pre-launch, mid-July pre-launch, the 14th, and then the actual launch on the 21st of July. And this has been a true work of heart. In fact, Lorenzo, who is our other showcase for the E360 interviews, he takes care of our Friday interviews that he brings to the world. But Lorenzo's involved in this launch too. He's playing that role. So I'm really, really delighted that we've been able to have you today, and just know that, as we continue to look for opportunities to work together, I wish you the very best of success, because what you're bringing is such a time saver, actually, for those that are needing to get their word out to the world. One of the things that I have seen so many times is after they're published and they become a bestseller, international bestseller, however they've been able to rank, unless they are willing to go the extra mile and get themselves booked and really get out there, their books, because there's so many of us publishing today, their books can easily get lost in the cobwebs of cyberspace, and that's not what we want. And that's why we bring the experts like yourself to the fore and say, let's do this. Let's find the ways to get our word out to the world. So I honor you and thank you for having been here. For listeners, take the time if you need to. This recording is available. There's a lot of ways to listen. E360 TV, if you go to Fresh Takes, you'll be able to see this presentation on E360 TV, but also on social medias. We've got it going out to YouTube and Facebook, and there's a lot of ways to connect with this. Jackie, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, very good. Oops, sorry. I have a little critter that thinks he has to bark at everything. Alrighty. Have an awesome day.